Welcome back to another episode of The Coffee Break, and today we are joined by DT. Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So DT, for those who may not have come across you, can you please tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. My name's DT, so CEO at San FranTokyo, building out Anime ID with Anime Foundation, and everything anime.
Amazing. Yeah, really cool. I minted, and
Thank you.
still hold mine. Love it.
Appreciate it.
Tell us, how did you come up with the idea for San Fran? Well, first of all, what is San FranTokyo, and how did you come up with San FranTokyo?
For sure. So, San FranTokyo, the idea, I love Japan. Japanese culture, anime. The first thing you think about when you think about anime is Japanese culture. And having an opportunity to build in that industry was something that I just thought was a dream come true. And the idea at the time was, when NFTs were starting to come up, how do we bring the world of Japan and combine it with everything that we're seeing happen, from the tech point of view, like from the valley. And that's where the sort of San FranTokyo or San Francisco part came in. It's like, well, how do we actually bring these worlds together? How do we then create a story? And I couldn't think of a better name than San FranTokyo. Obviously, a little bit of inspiration from Big Hero 6, and sort of sat on it for a little while, and eventually said, look, forget it. Let's just run with it, because it wasn't anything better, and that was it.
Yeah. No, it is a great name. It's amazing inspiration, obviously. What is San FranTokyo? And I guess that leads on to what is Anime ID and the Anime Foundation itself.
Sure. San FranTokyo was an idea, and the idea really came about because I really wanted to do something that was going to help the industry, and the more time I spent in Japan, the more time I spent with industry, the more, it really hit me and struck that there's a lot of archaic systems that currently exist. The whole anime production committee process is something that's been around for decades, and could do with a bit of innovation. So San FranTokyo, when we initially started, was a way to take that idea where we could wrap a story around this mission. And when we started to build out this world, we came up with this idea around the city of convergence. It was converging of culture, converging of anime as a medium, converging of tech, and basically a playground where we could actually build out that world. And as we continue to progress, we've spent more and more time in industry and started to introduce industry in this concept of actually leveraging off tech and accessing the rest of the world. So in many cases, it's very symbolic of like a bridge. How do we take everything that's great out of Japan and help them access the rest of the world with it?
Yeah, very interesting. There's obviously like a number of different anime projects in this space, right? What does Anime ID or Anime Foundation seek to do? Is it something that's supposed to unite everyone, or how does that all work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just had a quick call before, and I was talking about this very topic, but the whole premise here is now trying to meet fans where they are. I think that's something that I'm really passionate about, just because being an anime fan myself, we see this medium that used to be a subculture. Growing up, it used to be like you don't really tell anyone about anime, right? But this subculture has become so big that you can almost call it like it's no longer a subculture anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it's a whole beast in and of itself. And what's special about that, I guess, is that what can we do to bring together this experience? It's become so big that it's become incredibly fragmented. And the concept of Anime ID is like, how do we leverage off the vast network that Animoca has when we look at things like Mocha Network, and start to bring together, all of these disparate experiences, from, whether it be collecting figurines, whether it be watching and consuming anime, whether it be reading manga, whether it be going to, to AX and actually, cosplaying. There's, for the first time ever in history, we have the technology now to actually bring this stuff together. And really, how do we reward fans for having loyalty to that genre itself,
So like you mentioned, it's somewhat of a kind of a loyalty program, right? How does that work? And if someone is very into anime now, what's their best way of getting into the ecosystem?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. I think that when I talk about trying to meet fans where they are, this is, I think, the important part, because us as a space, we've tried to educate Web 2 about all of the amazing things that we're building in Web 3, and it hasn't really worked. We've sort of got to meet fans where they are, and what that means is anime as a medium is so broad, and if you're a football fan, you love football, period. But if you're an anime fan, you come in all different kinds of flavors, right? You could be somebody that just absolutely consumes, tons of manga. But that's very different from someone that will go to a cosplay every single week.
Right.
So I think, crafting your identity in anime as a medium will come as, a lot of different ways. And I think, if you can meet like-minded people and build a community based on the different things that you do in the industry, that starts to form your cohort of people that you want to spend time with, and us being social creatures, you might not get along with the cosplayer, but you'll get along with somebody who vibes with, sports anime, for example. So meeting fans where they are is interesting, but right now there's no real way to track that. There's no real way to identify that, let's say Matt loves racing, racing anime, like if you're a big fan of Initial D, let's say. But, me, I haven't watched any of that at all. Like, for example, we don't really connect at that level. So, first task is really capturing that. Second task is then making that available. And then third task is then trying to, bring that together to create new sets of data that's going to benefit, you as a fan, whether it be to connect with people, whether it be to, be rewarded for that information somehow, whether it be through verifiable credentials that can then start to, access different things because of that. All of that becomes possible now.
So what's next? What's next for Anime ID, Anime Foundation, and SFT?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, we've been sort of neck deep just trying to focus on product. I think that's one of the key things, one of the big lessons and learnings that we've had. This space has been brutal for a lot of people, trying to just ride hype. And, I think one big lesson here is what can we actually build that's going to be meaningful? What can we build that's actually going to make a difference? I'm really super passionate about wanting to actually make a difference. I think I'm sort of at that point in my career. I'm old enough now where I want to actually do something that is going to, leave some sort of legacy, something that's actually going to provide value. So right now we're deep in product. Hitting, PMF is absolutely critical. And the space has evolved and changed so much, and we're going to continue to ride that wave and evolve with it. So yeah, I mean, right now it's about trying to make sure we build something that is going to be valuable and that people want. What that looks like, I don't know, but we're going to continue to roll with the punches and make sure we have something that's going to be valuable not only to fans but also the industry itself.
Yeah, well, good luck with everything you're building. It's very, very exciting, and I'll definitely be on board for the journey.
Appreciate it.
2 quick fire questions to
Sure.
end. If you were to cosplay someone, something, one character, who would it be?
Ooh, good question. Well, maybe a couple characters. So I think Naruto is probably one of my favorites for a couple of reasons. I get a bit of shit for it because it's a little bit mainstream, I guess. But my reasons for it is because I watched it many years ago, with my now wife. But we rewatched all of it again, like Naruto and Shippuden with my kids. So it actually has it's elevated the experience and the IP for me. And because of that, actually Minato, so Naruto's dad, is actually probably one character that I favor. And Sasuke's brother, so Itachi. So they're the two probably my favorite characters in the series. So yeah, I'd say them.
Okay, cool.
What about you?
I don't actually watch that much anime.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. There's a few that I've watched. So there's one racing anime that I watched called Capita. And it's a young kid starts in go-karts, and it's his journey to Formula One. And that was my Bible.
There you go. Perfect.
So a bit of inspiration, bit of sort of parallel with my career a little bit.
I think the thing with anime is that the storytelling it takes you to another place.
Oh, it's
and I think this is where if you get these kind of stories, you just draw so much inspiration from them. and I think I can understand why that one would have been so powerful for you.
Yeah, and like, watch a bit of Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. But yeah. So, for someone like
Sure.
me that doesn't watch a ton of anime, what are your top 5, let's say, starter pack of animes that you would recommend?
Ooh, starter packs. I mean, a lot of the shonen stuff is really good because it's lighthearted and it's a lot of fun. But I mean, are you an action guy? Are you like a sports guy? Are you like a drama, romance?
Oh, probably lean on the action and sports. Maybe a bit of drama.
Okay. I think there's a lot of sports anime. So I mean, Haiku's pretty good. So that's about volleyball. It's funny because we had, like, I was talking to Kazushi-san, who's like the editor at Yamanga, right, so Kodansha company, one of the biggest publishers in Japan, and he was saying that, like, what's special about manga and special about anime is that it doesn't really matter where they are, what they're doing. It's about the characters, So you fall in love with the characters because you become emotionally invested in their story, in their hero's journey, and all of that. And I mention this because in Haiku, the whole season they're in the gym playing volleyball. There's really like 96% of the scenes are on the court, and it's just about the game of volleyball.
Yeah.
But the dynamics between the people and the team, like, you start to fall for the characters. So that's the part about storytelling, especially sports ones, that I really enjoy, because it takes something very simple from, like, somebody setting the ball to creating a fine art out of it. So I think Haiku is actually a really good one. And Blue Lock is another one, is that a soccer one, football one. But from a sports perspective, that's probably what I'd recommend. If you want a bit of action and sort of some Japanese storytelling, that's just a bit like, well, what the Chainsaw Man is a good one.
Yeah,
so you should definitely check that one out. There's a lot of WTF moments. Yeah, and Naruto. I mean, like, it's just a classic. I think the values and the story and the end-to-end script writing is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little brother that's obsessed with Naruto, and I
Really?
think he's always trying to get me to watch it. I think I need to bite the bullet.
You got to do it. You got to do it. But it's pretty daunting though, because there's like 1,000 episodes. So.
That's the thing. That's the thing that gets me. But DT, it's been amazing chatting to you today, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Guys, stay tuned as we speak to more builders and founders in the Web3 space.